Now it's scary.
Okay. Are you ready, Howard?
Yep.
Meeting ID is 835-780-6-5297.
That's it?
And then there's a passcode,
Okay, the passcode is,
863569.
okay, very good. I'll see if I can get that.
Okay.
And you can just shrink that screen. You don't really need to have it up. Oh, wait, unless you want to use it for your agenda.
Can I admit everybody so that they know? Yeah, well, before we do that, or is it better just leave everybody out? Okay.
Okay. Okay,
Howard, I just resent it to your email.
okay, fine.
I might be in the waiting room. So let me check here.
Yep, I see everybody there.
Now you're in stereo. You're on your phone and on the computer.
Yeah, I'll get off the phone.
You might get a little feedback. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's so we're waiting for
Paul Braden?
No,
He's the first.
Oh, the first.
That's why I was just checking my email to see if maybe he sent it or
Oh,
sent something again. And
Really, Travis project.
that's the mural. Mural. Last three are mural there. Those are, and then, yeah, those are all mural.
Yeah, I think in the future, if you would just send it to me on my Gmail account also.
Yeah,
then
I thought Bridget did, but maybe it didn't come through.
Yeah,
She sent us an email and said, "Oh, I've almost forgotten." She said she sent it to you, so I'm not sure what happened there, but.
yeah, okay, no problem. Well, I think it's time to start, if that's okay. Are we all, who's here, who's not here?
Our first applicant, right?
Our
Yeah,
first,
Paul Braden's not here yet. I don't know if you want to wait or if we can move it to the end, I guess, if
let's
you start it.
let's do the project we got people here for and get that started.
yeah,
Okay.
let's do that. So if we could call the meeting to order with a roll call, please. And who's going to do that?
Oh, do you want me to do that?
Yeah.
Howard Boyle,
Here,
Dave Bautista,
Here.
Kevin Kugel,
Here.
Dennis Sachs,
Here.
Bridget Tipton.
Here.
We are all here.
okay, that being the case, is Eric here to give an oath?
He is.
Okay.
Anyone who's going to be testifying?
Well, they're all in the waiting room.
Oh, the waiting room, that's right.
Except for Joan and Elizabeth.
Who needs to be admitted? Everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
So are you saying there's nobody to do that to?
We're here.
We're bringing them in. Just give us a second.
Okay.
All right. Everyone's just been brought in from the waiting room into the meeting. We've called the meeting to order. We're about to swear in witnesses. So anyone who's going to be testifying in front of the Architecture Review Board, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony given before the Architecture Review Board is to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so there's nobody here from Woodsies, is that correct? Okay, how about Dunkin' Donuts? Is there someone here from Dunkin' Donuts? Elizabeth's here,
Yes,
right?
Howard, this is Elizabeth. I'm here.
Okay, good. I can see you there.
Okay. You never know which screen you're on.
Yeah, I know, that's right. I feel good. I can see you. Okay, if you would like to present your new plan.
Sure. Yeah. So the first thing I'll say is I know I have a very colorful background. Hopefully it's not distracting. My new workplace is my daughter's old big girl bedroom. So I think that the virtual backgrounds, like I tried to use a virtual background, but I feel like it's really distracting. So, or more so. So that's the first thing.
At least you're not like me and have guns and things like that.
I did paint this myself many, many years ago, like, I don't know, 18 years ago. Okay, anyway, so hopefully you got the revised elevations that I sent in. We did make some modifications based on our conversation that we had at the last meeting. And so I can just kind of go through those. We did take the stone monolith tower that was on the north end of the building. We took it and we put it on the south end of the building. You know, one of the things we talked about was that south end being more visible. So we moved that down there. I did look at the possibility of lowering that flat roof. I know, Kevin, you had asked about that. And so what I did is I just had to go and kind of work the numbers. So we've got our freezer cooler height, we've got duct work, we've got the trusses, little parapet. I really can't lower that. You know, maybe later I might be able to lower it like maybe 8 inches if I'm lucky, but I would say, you know, it's safe to say I probably can't. But what I did do was I took the gutters that were, you know, the roof did slope towards the back and the gutters were on that back elevation. I switched it so that flat roof will drain towards the drive-through. So the downspouts, the gutter and the downspouts are now on the drive-through side. So you won't be able to see that as you're coming up 43. And then the roof ladder, you know, we talked about the roof ladder and maybe moving it over to the other side of the building. But there's not really a lot of space between the edge of the building and the drive-through lane. And so we really felt like it would be hazardous for any person who needed to climb up that ladder if they were being so close to the traffic. So, but I did push it down to the corner. I think it makes that elevation look, you know, it's a little bit nicer than what it looked like before. So hopefully you'll be happy with that. And then I guess the only other thing on the front elevation, we talked about there on the south end of the building that it looked a little plain. And so we added that Kent, and then it's like the little running man runs on Duncan. We added that graphic there. Now that graphic, it's not an illuminated sign. It's just like a, you know, a flat sign. There are gooseneck lights that then, you know, will light that up. So it's not internally illuminated. And so we don't have any sign on the north elevation anymore. So we still have three signs if you count the Kent runs on Duncan as a sign or a graphic. Just the large DD facing south, the Duncan above the entrance, and then the Kent runs on Duncan. And I believe those are the changes that we made based on our conversation.
Elizabeth, I have a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
The ladder. Is that ladder to access like air conditioning units and
Yes.
things like that, just in case they need serviced?
Yes.
You know, the last thing I'd want to have on our building is a ladder to get up to the get up to the third floor that anybody could use. I mean, every service person I've ever met carries ladders to go up on the roof. But why do you want a permanent ladder?
Yeah.
I mean, I can see that it's, if it's a staff person that you have that does it on a regular basis, I can understand that. But I mean, if it's a heating system professional to go up on the roof, that's probably real it's a nice thing to have, but it's certainly dangerous, I think, for kids and anybody else that wants to go up there.
Right. So this is, I think this is maybe up into the 20th or so store that Ken has done. And he does have these ladders on all of his store. I think it is, it's both, service people and staff. And I think that, it's safer for those people to be, on a fixed ladder as opposed to, a movable ladder, that you're just leaning up against the building. So, this is standard operation for him. I think, they like to have, when they have multiple locations, it's good to have the same procedures and plans in every location. And so, this, like I said, this is a standard thing for them to have, is this ladder here. And it's worked well for them. They haven't had trouble with it. Otherwise we wouldn't do it if they had trouble. I mean, it's
they have one on the one on East Main Street?
Yes.
And it's in the back where nobody can see.
It's on the back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Well, this one isn't quite unvisible.
Yeah, it's just, we just can't move it to the other side because of the traffic. It would be, that would be a hazard.
No, but it to me is a safety hazard to have it there. But go ahead. And other questions from anybody?
Okay.
I just like to say that, so you move the tower to the south and it makes the south look better. And then what happened on the north is it makes the double gable is now more visibly clear, and there isn't a floor plan bump out for the smaller gable. So I'd like to see some sort of justification for the smaller gable, either a bump out of the footprint or if it were on brackets. Otherwise, why is the smaller gable there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's for the, highlighting the window, I suppose.
So would it, but it doesn't, the way it is now, it doesn't project out a foot or anything like that?
Right. Yeah, I don't have any objection to removing the smaller looking gable and just having it be one big gable end.
What do you think about having some sort of brackets to and have it project out a foot farther than the bigger gable?
I think, I guess since we're talking about it, my opinion would be to just take the smaller gable off and just have the large gable at the end. I think what we talked about is it's not extremely visible. It'll be somewhat visible once you get past the apartment building. But to simplify it, I'd be fine with just taking that smaller gable off.
Okay, so that didn't go the way I wanted it to at all.
I still like the gable the way it is, yeah.
I guess I was looking for, I kind of like the look of it, but I wanted it to have a reason to be there. So
not everything has a reason though, huh?
Isn't the reason the change of material?
There is no, there's not a change in material there.
No. It's not siding and brick?
Well,
oh, I see. On the one side, I'm looking at the front, not north. Got
no. We're looking at the north elevation.
Yeah.
It used to make more sense when you had the tower on the north end. The stone tower.
So the footprint didn't change at all. Like there didn't used to be a bump out there. I mean, the bump out was the tower, and so all I did was take the tower off. I didn't change anything else.
Right.
Okay. Anything else that we want to comment about this property?
I don't have another comment on the building, but I do on the site plan. And so in the last meeting, I didn't clearly understand what the zoning requirement was for the buffer between a commercial property and a residential property. And so on the site plan here, we have a 6-foot high masonry wall that's snug up against the hard surface drive-through. And the requirement is that you have a 3-foot high buffer, and that could be, it's a visual screen. So that could be just earth berm or masonry or wood or whatever it is. And So, and what you guys have chosen to do here is put in the 6-foot high wall. And I just find this wall to be not attractive and real claustrophobic for the drive-through. And personally, I'd like to see I'd prefer to see a 3-foot high earth mound, and then you take the vegetation that you plan on putting to the right side of the wall and putting that on that mound. What do you think of that?
So I think that there's going to be a lot of discussion at the Planning Commission regarding the site plan and regarding the wall and the screening. It is my thought that the neighbors are going to prefer having the tall wall as opposed to a short wall. But certainly we can, I don't know if like your comments can get read to the Planning Commission, and we'll just go from there, you know, saying that that's your, you know, what you would like to see. But I do.
Yeah, I don't think we're here talking about the site plan.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
talking
it's,
about- but
it's,
that would be
it's
a comment.
definitely, the wall is definitely part of the aesthetics of.
If I
of the
may,
project.
Howard?
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not, I mean, if we didn't like the trash enclosure, we would be commenting on that. And so this is part of what is going to be built on this site, just as the trash enclosure is.
Right.
So I think we definitely have some input here.
I think Mr. Kugel is right that he should make his comments about that
So
part
I
of the
guess
site plan.
eventually,
It does go get
if the rest of the board agrees, or
Go ahead, Eric. Are you there, Eric?
Yes, I hope so. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, but we don't see you, so.
Okay. Well, I think that Mr. Kugel is correct that because it's part of the aesthetics, I think he's right to
Okay.
bring those comments up. I do believe that that's something that the Planning Commission is going to have a lot of discussion about based upon what took place at the last proposal in front of the BZA, which is not the same site plan, but it's similar comments were raised. So I think that it's important that Mr. Kugel raise these comments now and to make sure they get passed on to the Planning Commission if this project gets to that stage.
Okay, very good. Anybody else have any comments about the building? If not, and we've heard several issues. I think we would be prepared. There's obviously a big change or a substantial change, and I know, Elizabeth, you don't have a lot of latitude to make changes. So I think you've done a pretty good job of listening to what we had to say last
Yeah,
month.
I liked your comments, and I think it does make that south elevation. It's just going to be a nicer presentation. So
Yeah. So what we would need is a certificate of appropriateness on this property. Is that correct, or is this just a recommendation?
recommendation.
Just a recommendation.
Recommendation. Okay, good. So that's a little bit easier, a little less stringent. So in the recommendation, Kevin, if you'd like to put that they review that based on that, you certainly may do that if you'd like to make a recommendation.
Yeah, I'd like to, I'll propose a recommendation.
Okay.
So I recommend that we accept the project with with what has been submitted in this last submittal. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
That's good enough.
All right. And that the 6-foot masonry wall around the drive-through be replaced with a 3-foot earth berm with vegetation on top of it as a part of our recommendation. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add to that, or not like what I said?
Well, it's a motion, so we need to have someone second, and then they can make amendments after that.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Would anyone like to add or to anything to it or adjust that?
I think it could maybe just be a consideration of a change of the wall to an earth berm rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
the way you stated it felt pretty.
I agree with you too. I think your statement is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Where what we would like you to do is consider that as opposed to doing it. We certainly like to see you do it, but in a recommendation like this, I would think that they would consider changing that block wall to a 3-foot earth wall with vegetation.
All right,
And,
then I recommend that they consider it.
well,
I mean, isn't that what we have to offer a recommendation, or what is it that we're offering here?
yeah, all we're doing is recommending, yeah.
Okay.
Eric, help us, Eric.
I said, I think that Kevin's made a motion. I think there's
Yes.
been a suggestion that he amend his motion. I think Kevin's accepted that amendment.
Okay.
Dennis, do you accept that amendment as well, since you seconded the motion?
I would second that, the amendment, yes.
Well, that's a wonderful
Okay.
way to get out of it, Eric. Thank you so much. Then if there's no more discussion, if we would, all in favor of the motion as presented and amended, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Elizabeth, for putting up
Thanks.
with it.
you.
No problem. See y'all later.
Yeah.
Bye, Elizabeth.
Okay, I see Paul Braden's here, so we might want to go back and do Woodsies.
Yes, please.
Paul, could you please raise your right hand?
Yes, sir.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you give before the Architecture Review Board shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Paul, you can go ahead and present your plan.
Okay, well, I had sent an email off a while back after the last review. Made some adjustments on the signage size, and we eliminated a lot of the copy on the sign and did just a revision of the artwork on there. I hope you all have that copy.
Okay, and so could you just outline the differences?
Okay.
Yeah.
We went down from a 4x7 sign to a 3.5x7 sign. And it makes the design more appropriate as far as the layout goes. It's comparable to our neighbor's sign. We're still working on that project with him, but I think this is the same, very close to the same square footage of the sign. The design of the actual frame of the sign is the same, but we have just put the Woodsies logo, which is now a little different because it matches the Woodsies for both of our stained glass signs that we already have up.
Great.
And then the music, audio, video just is there. And a little bit of the artwork that matches the rest of the signs that we have.
Okay. Any questions for Paul? Now, the back sign is already, is that up yet? Did you put the back sign up?
No, I want to do the back sign to be the same as this new
Okay, so
revision.
you're gonna do the same size. Okay, which is a little smaller than what you had before. Okay. Any questions for Paul?
I think this looks better.
Yeah, I do too.
Me too.
Definitely looks better, yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with that, and I appreciate you all helping me with it.
Oh, no, you don't, but we'll take it anyway. Would there be a motion to accept it as
Howie, what
presented?
about having the sign centered in the brick area between the upper and lower windows instead of down so low?
No.
Yes, that what we are planning on doing. Yes.
No, I would be more inclined to go with it the way it's shown in your picture so that it lines up with the Troy sign.
Yeah, I would think that's true too.
Really, you want me to put it down at the bottom of the at the top of the window without putting it right in between the
I would
lower window and the upper window section?
No, I put it in the same distance away from the roof line that the Troy sign is on.
You mean the window head or the roof?
I don't know what that is. It
Window
looks like a
head.
Roof. It looks like a roof. Is there some sort of a roof over that window?
No, it's just the trim.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
trim. Well, it looks like it's about 2 inches, 3 inches maybe.
probably not more than 6 inches above the main floor window, balance between that and the upper section window.
Well,
Now,
if you move it, that means you're not going to put it on the way you've got it on this print. You're going
Well,
to be raising it up about looks like about, oh, I don't know, 8 inches.
I
And so
think the,
so
I'm
we don't have a recommendation at this point. We talked about it, but so now
Right.
we've got a dilemma. Are we going to do it the way it's on the print, or are we going to change it and move it up? What are your recommendations?
I would suggest that it be installed with the bottom of the sign as it's shown on the picture that's been presented, which shows the bottom of the sign 2 brick courses above the window trim,
Right.
which is essentially 6 inches.
Yeah. Is that anybody have any comments about that? Bridget, you're shaking your head, but
Yes,
okay.
at exactly how the photo has it.
Yeah, right. Okay. Dennis, Dave.
Yeah.
You're
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, so who's going to make the motion for a certificate of appropriateness on this one?
I'll make a motion
Okay.
for certificate of appropriateness exactly as presented.
Is there a second? Okay. Discussion? Paul, do you understand that?
yes, I do.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, great. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Appreciate
We'll
it.
Bye,
miss you.
Paul.
All right. So long. Come and see the sign.
Okay, buddy.
Thanks, Paul.
Come and buy an instrument is what you really want to say, yeah.
Yeah, come on down and visit.
Yeah,
All right. Take care, everybody.
thank you. Now we've got the Parta sign on East Erie Street. Who's going to do that one?
That would be me.
Okay,
So my name's Joan Seidel, and I'm the Health Commissioner for the Kent City Health Department, and we will be moving from our current space at 414 East Main to 201, which is the Gateway Building on the 2nd floor. We wanted the signs to be appropriate and match to what is currently considered on the building's premises. So we have submitted plans for that. I believe that Parta is actually taking care of the sign manufacturing. So that ball is kind of in their court, but I just wanted the Architectural Review Board to know that I wanted to keep the sign as designated with the current standard for that building.
Joan, I have a question for you. It's Howard. If you're going to be doing it's gold leaf on green.
Correct.
And so it's the same gold leaf and green that the other signs are, is what you're saying.
Correct. You're right.
And then the sign that is above, is it a square or a rectangle, or is it the same as the one that says like FS store?
I believe that it is a rectangle, but because they no longer make the wooden signs, so that it's now like a metal cast sign. And some of the other businesses that are currently on the lower level have this type of sign. So it would be in keeping with what that is.
Okay, so they've changed the material for the sign since this has been approved.
That is my understanding.
Okay.
I have a question. Is the sign being affixed directly to the brick, or will it have the green like sign area?
I believe that the sign is green and gold, and it will be affixed to the brick, is my understanding. I will not be the person installing, so I'm not sure.
Well, just to see if it'll be backed by brick or backed by that green panel.
Yeah, it won't, it's my understanding we'll not have that green banner behind it.
So I guess going back, that all the other signs are wooden and they're cut letters in it in gold leaf. This is not going to be that way. Is that correct?
Right. And I would say that not all the other signs are cut. Some are already of this metal material, because
in the signboard, the one on the side, the little one on the side, those all appear to be the same, but you've got some other ones up there that are different.
It will be comparable to those, is my understanding. Again, Parta is making the signs. I just put in the request to have them in the appropriate lettering so that it would designate the health department.
Okay. I wonder what caused them to, I shouldn't say this. I know what caused them to change the the sign material.
That was not discussed with me. I was just told that what the current sign option would be.
You really don't have any say in this whatsoever.
No, thank you.
I mean, it's, you know, that's, if PARTA's doing this, you know, PARTA has, and this is an interesting problem for us guys and lady.
I have a comment.
What's happened here is they have a sign plan and they have told us how they're gonna put their signs up. And they have obviously changed their mind in the middle of this sign plan. And I don't, you know, I'd sort of like to read the sign plan to see what can be done and what can't be done. I mean, it maybe, go ahead.
My understanding of what Joan's trying to explain, I'm on Google Maps again, walking around on the street view, the only benefit of having a remote meeting. And there's a sign, since the photo that was in the packet that was submitted is an older photo and those businesses have changed. I think what she's saying is that there are signs that have already been replaced as the tenants have changed. And there's a sign that is a metal panel with gold colored, let's call it yellow, paint to indicate. So to your point, it is much flatter, but also what Joan I think is saying is that the sign manufacturer is no longer making the wooden style, or the place that PARTA is going does not make the wooden style. But there is already one on the building that is not carved.
Well, that
at least
goes back to my concern,
right,
is not this sign or anything. I mean, that this is really has nothing to do with the health department. What's happened here is PARTA has changed their sign plan for the building, and they haven't come back to us and said, we want to change the sign plan of the building. This is what we want to do from now on. Because technically, you know, once you get the sign plan approved, they can just go ahead and make those changes. It's not a big deal. We've already approved it. Now we're looking at something that is different than what is on the sign plan. And you know, you know, we may want to say to them, what do you need on this? Do you need a certificate of appropriateness?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jennifer's looking at the sign, what was approved before, to see if there's different materials or anything listed.
I'm not seeing any.
And she's not seeing anything that says it has to all be wood or all be metal, or.
Does it describe the color or the gold leaf or the, what is it? It has to describe something. Of course, then again, they gave us prints to show us what was going to go on there.
Yeah, I think it was just, here's the locations, here's how big they can be. And I think that's pretty much what was approved before.
Okay.
But Jen's looking.
Well, you know, I don't know that it would make a difference for what we're doing with the health department anyway. I think if we're going to,
Yeah, I don't think so
with PARTA, that's our problem with PARTA. That has nothing to do with what the health departments want to do here. So I would think that we would probably want to offer a certificate of appropriateness so the health department can go ahead and get their signs up. And then if we want to address the sign plan, we might want to have the sign plan sent to the architecture review board so that they could review the sign plan for the PARTA building, and maybe we could discuss it next meeting. But that's, I don't know.
Okay.
That's what do you guys think?
Yeah,
fine.
if they're going to change it, then we need to review it.
Right.
Yeah, I think if they're going to change it, they review it. But I don't know that, since they've already changed it and they've already started using it, I don't know that it's worthwhile to stop the health department from getting a label on their building, on their offices. I think if there's a problem, PARTA is going to have to deal with that down the road.
Yeah, I have two comments, I guess. One, the wood sign is a much more attractive sign. So if they do come back, that would be something that I would be happy to, you know, suggest as a requirement. It's a much nicer looking sign. The other piece is that since the health department's moving on to the second floor, it would be okay in my mind to some degree that the ground floor, the street level has one kind of sign or level of sign, and the second floor has something else. I mean, it's farther from pedestrians and so on. So if it's a little bit different, I'm not sure it matters, but in terms of like a first floor and second floor logic, that's something I could get behind. But to your point too, there's already a metal sign on the first floor. So
They put it on the first floor. Is that right?
there is one on the first floor right now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, also they're in a situation, that's very expensive sign to produce in wood. And if your tenants are only going to stay 6 months, it's really expensive to do that kind of thing. So I'm sure somebody's made a decision, not on the fact that the sign maker won't make it, but it's the cost of putting that sign up there for a short period of time is sort of prohibitive for them. And it would have been nice for them to mention it to us since we've already approved their thing. But anyway, if we get a certificate of appropriateness to allow the health department to do what they want to do based on this drawing, that might be appropriate.
I still have one more question. It's not exactly clear to me how big this, oh, there it is, 24 inches.
Mhm.
I think it's, or 24 feet. Is that all across all 4 windows?
It's underneath that arched opening of the third floor parking deck above the first floor. So there's actually, it's one large window that's divided and it has 2 dividers in it. So it will not run across the 4 windows. It will be underneath the opening and above the window that has 3 panels.
I see that. Okay.
That's going to appear to be a very large sign.
It will fit within the parameter of that brick. It won't extend over the outcropping, the impediment there.
Well, but it looks like it's gonna hit at least 20 feet of that with a Kent City Health. How large is the how large are the letters?
How wide's the window?
What?
How wide is that window? The second floor window that's 3 units.
I do not have the dimensions on that window.
So it appears to me that the full sign is 24 feet, which I'm going to guess is pretty close to the full width of the window. So the sign size itself is going to be almost the size or exactly the size of the entire green area below, not the size of the sign below, is my impression.
I think you're right, Bridget.
How do we feel about that? That feels like a very large sign.
I feel that's, I would think that the sign should say Kent City Health Department, but it should be effectively the same size as the green signs that are sitting on the signboard.
Yes, agreed.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
Okay.
a very large sign. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it looks like that would be about 12 feet wide.
It's a good guess.
Ish.
I think
Yeah.
it scales better with everything else. So.
Well, we could, I'm sure that they haven't made the sign yet, I don't think. So we could probably recommend that sign be no larger than the sign in the first floor side.
But yeah, for the height and the width. And this is definitely something that we've come across before where we get the Photoshop pictures and
yeah, it's not to scale.
exactly. And then we get in trouble.
Yeah, and the other thing is, and if they still want to do the green signboard in 24 feet, they can do that, but the sign itself would be smaller. Is that correct?
I don't think you need a signboard. You can just put if it's a 12-foot wide sign, for example, just put that right on the brick.
But
That would be my knee-jerk way to go.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
I think a 12-foot sign would be plenty, or I would rather say it should match the length of the sign below, which looks like
That's
12
correct.
feet.
Yeah.
And the height.
And the height.
And the height, right.
Right, yeah.
It would still look good because of the way that particular window set is, because it's
Yeah.
the 3 windows.
You're right.
It'll still really nice.
I'd recommend what she just said, or vote for it, or
Would you like to frame it in a little bit more formal
no,
language?
she just, I haven't heard it. She just said it.
Would you like to do it then?
Sure. A motion for a certificate of appropriateness for the new sign not to exceed the dimensions of the sign on the first floor.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Is there any discussion about that? That's pretty simple. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? And Joan, do you understand that? Do you understand what they just did?
Yeah, they cut the size of the sign in half.
Yeah, well, it effectively matches the sign size as the first floor.
So, yeah, no, I understand.
All right,
I'm
good.
just concerned that's going to compress and it will make it harder for wayfinding for people to find us.
Well,
Yeah.
it's going to be it's the same size as the first floor.
Right. But,
Yeah.
and I understand you want to match aesthetically. I understand that as well.
Yeah.
We need to make that look cohesive and consistent. I am just, again, concerned for wayfinding because people will have to be looking up or they'll be driving, trying to find parking and need to know where.
Isn't there a parking lot right near there?
There is a parking lot, ideally located.
Put it real close to that. I think there's a parking lot. You can always put a little arrow. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Joan.
Thank you
Well-
for the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I guess I have a comment before you go, Joan. If this sign is not going to work, more to scale drawing would help convince us that you need a larger one.
That's
if you
right.
decided you would want to come back.
Yeah, if we could have we could have an elevation of that side of the building to scale with the sign on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was my ability with Microsoft Office to create this.
Oh, so you did
Understood.
this.
Not my forte. Communicable diseases is more my my expertise.
Well, you should have had the building owner do this for you. They're the ones that are putting it up and have all the money.
The sign guy.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're being asked to leave our current location. Time is of the essence, and since we're in a global pandemic, I unfortunately do not have any more time to spare with this. So I will be happy to accommodate whatever request
Okay, very good.
this can be moved forward.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you. I appreciate your time and the chance to be before you. Thank you.
Okay, now we have the Hall Green sign, which is not a Hall Green sign. It just happens to be on the building. Would Main Street Kent's doing this?
Mhm.
You want to explain it to us?
Yeah, I'll be presenting it. My name is Alex Gatney's. I work with each and every who've been helping MSK with some public arts projects over the last year or so. So Mike Finley from Hall Green kind of came to us with wanting to remove the current signage that's there that's painted on the back of the building and wanting to do more of a public artwork. And so he was really interested in kind of trying to communicate this idea of kindness or hope, especially during the current time. And so we connected with Kelly, who owns the gallery at Tropus Projects. And she did a window project where she had community members come in and create cut flowers out of letter forms. And so we thought this would be a really fun idea to apply to the back of the building. And so our thought was to propose sort of a two-phase project. The first phase being that we include some sort of large typographic flower imagery on the back. And that would be partly to, clear off the current sign that's there, prep the surface, and get a nice clean slate. And then phase two would be more in the springtime, where we would add in and have time to let the community create a bunch of these kind of small flowers that would be put around the letter forms. And so this was kind of just our initial concept. So our hope was to kind of come before you all and see if you had any feedback on the idea, or visual things we should consider. I know it's a little bit unusual to maybe bring a concept rather than a final design, but we wanted to kind of get feedback early, especially since there are lots of guidelines that we were reading through for signage, but not too much dealing with public art. So we thought it'd be a better idea to kind of just talk through it with you all. So happy to answer questions too.
Any comments?
I'm not sure how the community involvement thing works. Would the community actually be applying the smaller flowers and things later?
No, so Kelly has done a lot of projects where she lets community members come into the gallery and cut out these letters. And so the thought would be that they would come in and do that and submit their letter. And then we would actually select, some of the best flowers or the best designs. And then we would create larger stencils and we would apply those ourselves. So it'd be a little bit more curated.
Okay. And then is the gable roof end, is that part of the white part that's being painted, or is the siding going away, or have you decided on that yet? We're not sure, or what?
We have not decided on that yet. I don't know, Mike, if you were planning on, we had kind of thought that to incorporate the whole back, it might be better to paint the current siding, but we hadn't fully considered that yet.
What is the siding made of?
It's vinyl. It's
Vinyl
a
siding. And to be honest with you, there's going to be building needs some touch up, and the back of the building has been that way for quite a while. And in today's day and age, I just feel there's really no need for a billboard, for lack of a better phrase. And I think that my business tries to focus on community and be more of a partner and a referral based, just for anybody to randomly call us and and start that. I would love to be associated with more artwork than just a big billboard. If you want to find our number, it's today's day and age of technology, it's pretty simple. So I don't think the need for that much information there is really good. And I just purchased the building about a year ago, and I am in the process of doing some internal as well as external. And that's when this project came to mind, and all these people have been helping. And so, like Alex says, it's a concept. There's no, that's what we're doing, that's what we're not doing. The gable could certainly be painted or the siding removed. The whole back needs some attention before anything goes on.
Mike, what is it? Is it a cement block wall?
Yes, sir.
And they have put siding on it? Or
no, the gable was a flat roof.
Oh, I see.
And then they just put the roof on.
And gabled it and put that vinyl on it, yeah.
Correct.
And I would say too, as soon as we with all of the COVID stuff, we had met before that and started talking about this project. And then of course we all were met with some uncertainty. And I think we weren't sure what was happening with the project. There was a little bit of a pause, and then we kind of regrouped at some point, and we met. And I think I pretty quickly put something together just to kind of present a concept. And I think in what you guys are looking at, the gable is not addressed, but pretty quickly Mike brought that up, and we've already started to talk about what could happen on the gable. So certainly it's on the table as something to be included in the project. But I think it's really more of a sort of thinking through some ideas of what could happen back there, and just a way to present a sort of idea of how the community could be involved, how we could really embrace Mike's idea for how the back of his building could be something that engages the community and embraces public art and is a really great starting point for North Water Street in terms of what could happen down there in terms of sort of starting point and community engagement, and really small businesses being a jumping off point for launching that kind of thing.
Go ahead.
This is definitely a different kind of proposal than we usually get. This is just a concept. And what we usually get is something obviously more concrete and finalized and thought out. So it's it was hard for me to wrap my head around what it is that we're considering. And so I guess just from that standpoint, I think it's admirable, and it's going to be whatever you come up with. I think it's probably going to look a lot better than the billboard. And so this is a concept I'm on board with.
I'd like to, have to admit that I've looked at Mike's sign in the back of his building for probably the last 30 years.
Did you ever call him?
It is one of the tackiest things that we have downtown. And I appreciate the fact that you realize that now. And as far as a concept to do something, I mean, I think something positive back there would be very, very good. Whether this is it, you don't even know if this is it or yet. But I mean, I think a positive statement on the back of that building would be tremendous compared to what we've been looking at for the last 30 years.
And in fact,
I always knew where Mike was. And now that with all the internet stuff, it's easier to find him. You might want to mention that to the person from the health department who doesn't think anybody's ever going to find him.
I mean, I appreciate coming into this meeting. I was hopeful that you guys would appreciate that what we came here with is not what we think. This is not what it is. This is just
we
what
understand.
We're starting with.
We completely understand.
I appreciate that you guys appreciate that. But we're excited about the idea, and we want to get to something really great. So.
Well, we do too. Yeah. Great. You don't want anything besides feedback. How about you got any other feedback up there, guys?
I have a comment. A couple of things. I would recognize that green G anywhere. So I love that it's still in there. It's so clever, and obviously such an improvement to what's there. I also like in some of the later sketches, the way you've incorporated the window and how it sort of looks like really happy turned up leaves and petals. And so I think that looks really nice. Overall, I think it's really exciting. And I kind of like too the idea that you won't at any point be able to present exactly what it is, because that's the nature of community engagement. And so that unknown outcome is kind of exciting. There are of course parameters and what you hope it would be in the end, but I kind of like that there's no way to know what it will look like until we take a picture afterwards. So
well, and also Bridget, would this be something that you could, when the community comes together and puts things on there, could it be changed? Could you effectively, start over again in certain areas and put more, because as this change in life, would this thing be a living example of the downtown or the feeling that we have downtown?
I personally love that possibility. Just using that word grow expresses to me that it's ever changing.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be just here it is and we move on from there. It'd be something, like we change it every month by any stretch of the imagination, but the initial phase, as Kelly had said, is to get something up there started, and then as the winter cruises along, we can move into more community involvement, and then the spring, which would be appropriate to have the back of the wall grow even further and move right into the summer of next year, which will be a far better year.
Yeah, I think it would be fantastic if it could be a sort of living, growing project, even if sometimes it was really subtle, and that could be a way to engage the community too. Like maybe you saw it last year and you walk by and you see what's new or different. Maybe there's a new word or a new flower or a new color, or I I mean, you could imagine it layering or changing. I also think in the past, not with this particular project, but we've talked about how other communities like Akron have done community mural projects, or where the youth come in and do community projects. So in this instance, we're talking more about having community members get little kits and make their flowers, and they could just submit pictures of them. And that's how we would get we would curate the additions for spring. Easy enough. It doesn't, really easy to manage and curate. But, maybe in next fall, when we're allowed to be together and have closer encounters, we could have workshops in small spaces and paint them in real space together and engage community members in other ways. So I love the idea and the concept of grow and it actually physically changing, whether it's by season or every few years or in little bits or more dramatically. I think that's a really fantastic idea to embrace.
Any other comments?
I think it's a nice idea, and it's kind of a nice extension of the other murals that have been brought before us that are showing up downtown now. So nice continuation of that trend.
Good deal. Well, unless you guys have any other questions of us, we'll move on to other things on the agenda. Is that okay?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What would you recommend to be the next step for this project so that we can keep it moving? It sounds like the whole group agrees with the concept as a great replacement for what exists on the building. And then as Kelly and Alex work through design tweaks and the group kind of agrees to what they want that first phase to look like, does the ARB need to be involved beyond this point, or we were just kind of looking for the green light?
We're not giving you an approval of anything, so I would think you're going to have a certificate of appropriateness eventually, so you're probably going to want to have to design it. And I think you're a ways from designing it at this point, but you certainly have the right. We meet once a month. If you want to bring it back to us anytime you want to get a thought, hey, that's why we're here. And when you finally get it done to the point that you're ready to go, then we're probably going to have a certificate of appropriateness for you to actually put it up.
Okay, so, but as Bridget mentioned, the whole, it's going to be an ever-changing kind of living, breathing, but the initial design,
that's what you're going to present.
The phase one would be more.
Yeah,
of something
you're going to present. That's right. Yeah, and I would think I would, if I were you, I would explain what you're going to do, and your approval would be based on what your plan, what you're going to put up immediately, plus what you intend to do over a period of time. Okay. How you want to do it.
Great. Well, thanks everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the rest of the board, we still have some things on the agenda. We need to approve the meeting summary of the July 7th, 2020 meeting. I think we were all there. So a motion from someone to approve the minutes as presented, I think would be appropriate.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of July 7th as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. Thank you. Eric, do we have anything else? We have nothing else on the agenda, so I assume we don't have anything else to talk about.
That's it.
And we did briefly talk about PARTA, and it's sort of, I would think it would be appropriate, frankly, to just ask them, or maybe the way we do this at this point is if you could send us a copy of what we approved on their certificate of appropriateness when they did the building, and just let us review that. And maybe we won't go any farther than that.
Okay.
Could you do that, Heather?
You can do that, yes.
Okay. Eric,
Yeah, I can do that. No problem.
Okay, yeah, why don't we do that? And then we can see whether we need to pursue it any farther or not. It's just the fact that I felt sorry for the person from the health department. She was sort of sent into this on, thinking otherwise. So anyway, if we could get that, I'd appreciate that. And if there anything else that good order? If not, motion to adjourn would be in order.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great, guys. Thanks so much. Good job tonight.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.